This God also says that we are all part of the same body, and we each have a unique purpose in that body. My wife, my daughter, the pastors of this church, me, and yes, if you have decided Jesus is who he said he is the Lord of your life, and you accept what he has done for you, then you too. Another thing I've learned since 1997 is that God is the potter, and I am the clay. The clay does not get to tell the potter it wants to be a tray, a bowl, a vase, or anything else for that matter. The clay is clay. And we have to accept that at times when we are being shaped by the potter and formed into something new, and we have no idea or control of what is going on, we need to trust that the potter has great plans for us, even if those plans change us in ways we did not expect. In Jeremiah 29:11, this potter says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." Even if that future is not what you planned or what you thought you wanted, even if that future means you're to stand in a tank of water and share part of how he is working to shape you into something new, or share a story from your life with a multitude of people from a church stage, or for the purpose of today, how he is weaving a story that includes you in the tapestry of stories that are being created. On Wednesday, November 9th of 2022, I thought I had a sinus infection, so I went to the hospital emergency room to try to get this under control as my symptoms had changed. If you are taking notes, here comes the odds. While I was in the emergency room at St. Mary's Hospital in Kitchener, I had an aneurysm rupture, causing a sequence of events that has brought me, and maybe even you, here today. So where is the miracle, you may ask? First off, statistically, less than 1 in 10,000 people may suffer a ruptured brain aneurysm. I'm going to suggest that this event was made extremely rare by the fact that it occurred while I was in a hospital, surrounded by medical staff who knew what to do. To talk of miracles, let's start by thinking about the fact that I'm up here, actually speaking to you today. My aneurysm was in the cerebellum. For those who don't know, the cerebellum is the back part of your brain. Besides the cerebellum being your balance and coordination center, what you need to know about the type of aneurysm I had is that less than 3% of that 1 in 10,000 people who have a ruptured brain aneurysm have them in this area. And 80% of those people die. Many of those deaths occurring when the aneurysm bursts. Now take a moment and think about that, and do not minimize the fact that I was in the hospital emergency room when this occurred. So only 2 out of every 10 people who have this live through it. Those are pretty dramatic odds. Those odds are reduced again just by me being up here to tell you I am one of those 2 people. Because of the people who do survive this aneurysm burst, and clearly that's me, more than half of them, about 66%, have lifelong, noticeable neurological health impairments. I'm not going to try to do a handstand, but I'm pretty sure there are people here who had no idea this was going to be what you heard me speak after you saw me walk up here. When I touched my thumb to each of the fingers on each of my hands in the presence of one of the doctors who helped save my life, they just about fell out of their chair in amazement. It would be easy to conclude this is a miracle, finish the story, and be done. But this is only part of the story. And God is still using this thread, my thread, in his tapestry. When my aneurysm burst, the staff in Kitchener decided to send me to a hospital better equipped to treat this kind of brain injury. Their choices were Toronto, Hamilton, or London. Since space was available and time was very critical, the place that was decided on was London. When I was transported to London and my condition was assessed, the doctors spoke to my wife and daughter about the slim chance of my survival and that they should begin to consider the end of my life. But God is weaving a tapestry that isn't finished yet. At this point, a doctor stepped forward and said there was a new stent developed that might be able to be used to repair the damage caused by this burst aneurysm. For those keeping track of the probability of me being up here, this new stent was developed in London, Ontario, and can be delivered to the hospital in less than 10 minutes. And as I mentioned, I was now in London because this was the only option to the doctors in Kitchener at the time. If you are still not convinced, the tapestry continues, as do the insurmountable odds.